Morning, Sunny Hill.
Good morning,
Wednesday
everyone.
Today. We're looking at Acts 26. Once again, there's lots in it. Paul is on trial before Agrippa. Mm-hmm. And Agrippa says to Paul, right, you've got permission to speak. Paul stretches out his hand and makes his defence. And he starts off and he says, and I consider myself, he does a bit of flattery first to King Agrippa and says, I'm glad that I'm stating my case before you. And I thought about that, and it's almost as though King Agrippa would be impartial. He knew about the Jewish law and he knew about their customs, but he wasn't a Jew. But Paul was appealing to him to think, right, this man should be able to decide because he's not a Jew, so he's not going to use any prejudice against me about my story. And he starts to tell King Agrippa about, he starts off in verse 4, my manner of life from my youth. So Paul, it's almost as though he gives his testimony, and he's quite prepared to give his testimony. The change that's, because he said, I went around and I was persecuting the Christians, but it's verse 6 that stood out to us, where Paul says, and now I stand here on trial because of my hope in the promise made by God to our fathers. Paul goes right back to Abraham and all the fathers of the nation of Israel, and his hope is in what God told them, that one day Israel would receive a Messiah. And Paul says, virtually everything that I do is in the hope and the knowledge that Jesus is the Messiah. Not was, but is the Messiah. And that's why I do what I do. And he just stands there in complete assurance, knowing that he's right, that Jesus is and was the Messiah. And he even proclaims that to King Agrippa. Yeah.
Well, he's not there for any other reason now, because they can't find any fault in him, but they just keep on about the disagreement that they have about his faith in this dead man Jesus that we looked at yesterday. But his hope is built on nothing else but Jesus' blood and righteousness, which is what we sing in church. There's lots of verses connected with the hope that we have in Jesus. It's a certain hope. It's a true hope. It's a hope that we can have confidence in. And in Colossians we read the hope which is in Christ, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. And it's the same hope in us as it was in Paul. He's no different to us. He's talking about the same thing that we trust and believe in. In 1 Peter 1, we've got, he has given us new birth. We are new creations into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. And that's what Paul was saying as well. You know, this man that you're talking about, Jesus, he's not dead. He has risen. He is alive. And in Hebrews 6:19, the hope we have as an anchor for our soul. That's where, right deep in our soul, this hope is there. It's a hope of salvation. It's a hope for the future. It's a hope that we belong to him. We are his and he is ours. And it's that hope that we live and breathe. And we need to do that and show that to people more and more.
Yeah, and in verse 18, I love this, when Paul is confronted by Jesus on Damascus Road, and he says, I was to open the eyes so that they may turn from darkness to light, from the power of Satan to God, and that they may receive the forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. Therefore, O King Agrippa, I wasn't disobedient to my heavenly vision. Paul was, I'm not doing this because of man. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to please people. I'm doing this because that was what the job I was given by Jesus on that Damascus road. And that's why the Jews have arrested me. They didn't like the fact that Paul was proclaiming Jesus as Messiah.
Yeah. We must never water it down. It's that certain hope that can't be watered down or diluted in some way. And we have to be certain of that hope and live that hope and proclaim that hope through everything we do and wherever we go.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.